Hello chess friends and welcome to Azarov's chess channel and welcome to my basics in chess series. So in this series we're talking about opening principles, middlegame strategy and middlegame planning and some endgame strategy of course. Today I wanted to show you again a nice middlegame lesson. Today I wanted to show you the power of an outpost. And what is an outpost? An outpost is a square on the 4th, 5th, 6th or 7th rank which is protected by a pawn and cannot be attacked by your opponent's pawn. So this is really important because you see basically when you play chess, well, you try to occupy your opponent's half of the board. You may see me many times in my videos. I've made such a yellow arrow or something, or the 5th rank, and I've showed you we have occupied maybe your opponent's 4th or 5th rank. Well, this is important because you should play chess like that. You should try to see on the 5th rank your opponent's weaknesses and try of course to put some pieces on the protected squares. But of course you should put some pieces on the squares that your opponent cannot attack by its own pawn. So you see on this 5th rank, you see we have the possibility to play on this very weak square c5. So we can occupy here, of course, your opponent's 5th rank. You are occupying his side of the board, and here we have maybe possibilities to occupy the square e5, or here maybe the f5 here, or maybe the g5. So you see, although maybe this squares f5 and h5 are not protected by a pawn, they always can be protected. And you see, if the king has maybe castled here, it's really hard to kick away a knight here if you put him on the square f5. You see, again, we have occupied your opponent's 5th rank, so it's hard for him to attack your knight, because you can simply capture the pawn on h6. The same idea if the knight goes here maybe on h5. This is also a good square for the knight because it's in a dangerous position around black's king. So again, maybe g6, you get a knight on f6 here. So you see, it's really important to occupy your opponent's half of the board. And although you may think, okay, I have only occupied his 5th rank, but you see in a couple of examples that this likely advantage by white will lead him to a huge win, because he has occupied the 5th rank first, or from black's perspective, of course, he's trying to occupy your 4th rank. But I'll show you a couple of examples with white pieces in which white really has fast occupied the other half of the board, and of course won the game. So you see, it's really a huge and important strategical principle in a chess game. And you should really, when you're playing a chess game, of course, search for your opponent's weaknesses on the 5th rank. So let's see now a couple of examples. So here, the first position that I wanted to show, it was played by Tigran Petrosyan against Nuki Mrashovsky. And here Tigran Petrosyan with white pieces, and here let's see the weaknesses on the 5th rank in black's position. So of course we can maybe talk about here the weak b5, but you see the weakest square on the 5th rank is the square f5. So of course we want to bring the knight here on f5 and creating some attacking possibilities against black's king that is castled here on the king side. But the problem is, if we start too early to put something here on f5, well, the bishop can maybe go here on c8 and then capture the knight on f5. So black tried here an attack on the rook on f1, and of course Tigran Petrosyan was one of the best chess players from the last century. He didn't react on this attack on the rook. He played simply rook on h3 because you see, when black gives up his bishop and takes the rook on f1, he doesn't have any more the possibility to kick away a possible knight outpost here on f5, and of course this would be a huge positional advantage for white here. So black fell for this, and he took bishop takes on f1, now knight takes on f1, and now you see this knight with a very good coordination can through these squares e3 and g3 really control this important square f5. So you see Tigran Petrosyan sacrificed the rook, but for the positional advantage here, and you see how a very strong grandmaster from the last century does it, and how he simply uses this advantage of occupying your opponent's half of the board, and of course create some attacking chance. So here b5, but here Petrosyan doesn't even react here anymore on this queenside attack. Knight on e3, b takes e4, now knight on f5. You see, and there's no way to kick away the knight anymore from the square f5, and of course this is now a huge positional advantage for white. Here we have knight on g6, rook takes h5, now bishop on e5, g3, with some possibilities maybe to play f4 here, rook on b8, knight from the first rank on e3. Now we have a3, b takes a3, queen on b6, queen on d2. We have queen on b3, knight on g4, rook on b7, now king on g2. I'm gonna show a couple of moves. Now queen on c4, and now knight takes on e5, queen takes on e4, f3, queen takes on e5, and now with this discovered check here, Tigran Petrosyan was able to take away the queen on e5. So here, of course, king on f8, and now this is, of course, a completely winning game for white. You see how important it was to give away even the rook here on f1 in order to create a position in black's camp in which he doesn't have this light square bishop anymore, and he cannot protect this f5 square anymore. So let's see now another example. This is now a game between Leonid Stein against Bruno Parma. It was played in 1962, and here again we have a similar position. We want to create some weaknesses in our opponent's half of the board. Of course, we are watching again the possibility to put something on the 5th rank. So we have to occupy our opponent's 5th rank, but that's really hard here, because if we put the knight here, maybe on f5, well, after a couple of moves, maybe black can try knight on e7 and kick away the knight here with the move g6. So that's why here Leonid Stein plays also a positional sacrifice. He played rook takes on f6. Now we have g takes on f6, and now queen on f2. Now again we are aiming here this f5 square. So here king on g8 was played, rook on f1, rook on e8, now knight on f5, queen on d8, and now queen on g3, king on h8, knight on d6, and here rook on e7, and now rook takes on f6, rook takes on e4, and now knight takes on f7, which is of course the fork on the queen and the king. The rook has to take, and here of course white has a completely winning endgame with the 2 pawns up, with this very nice activity of the pieces. Of course rook on e1 is covered by the queen, so basically what white has to do here is play maybe the move h3 and secure his king. So you see, although this was not maybe the most attractive game, but you see, with this knight on f5 idea, with this positional sacrifice, Leonid Stein managed to create a very nice attack. At least he created some attack. You see, black was all the time on the defense here, and he had to be careful. So now I really wanted to show one of the best examples which I've seen in such positions. So here I saw a game. It was played by Alexander Alikhin against Emanuel Lasker, 2 of the former world champions. And now you see here Alexander Alikhin has already occupied the 5th rank, again on the square f5, which is important. You see, against this, as I said, against this king that has castled here kingside, again with this g6 possibilities, you can play knight on h6 and attack the king, of course. But here white has the problem. He has this dark square bishop. He cannot support it, but as the move g6 would still weaken the king after castling. So here bishop on b3, bishop on f5 was played. Now knight takes on f5. and bishop queen on b6, and now queen on d6. Of course, attacking the knight on e5. Here, knight from e to d7, rook from f to d1, rook on d8, and now queen on g3, creating this immediate checkmate here. So now g6, and now queen on g5. You see the possible the problem of black is here that his knights are not good coordinated. They depend on each other. And of course, we have also in our mind maybe some rook sacrifices here of this knight on d7. So many possibilities here for white to create an attack. Here king on h8 was played, attacking now again this knight on f5. Because of the pin, it was not possible to take it, so of course white has to react. So here knight on d6, and you see now white has occupied now the 6th rank. So it was sort of a transposition. First Alexander Alhin created some space advantage on the 5th rank, then after that on the 6th rank. So now king on g7 was played, and now e4 with the threat, of course, to play e5, and then after that knight on f5. Well, then of course the king has to go somewhere and then take the knight on f6. So that's why a knight on g8 was played, and now very strong move, rook on d3. A very nice rook lift, of course, with the flexibility to play a rook on g3, h3, and similar ideas, creating an attack on the king. So now f6, and now we have again knight on f5. Of course, the king has only one square, king on h8, and now Alexander Alhin finds a very strong move, queen takes on g6, and in this position black resigned, because of course white is threatening here checkmate on g7. So if black takes, then you get rook on h3. Here of course checkmate, because you can just bring your knight here on h6, but you get here checkmated with the rook on h6. The king doesn't have anywhere any squares left, so of course this is a very nice checkmate. So I hope you realize this idea. It's really an important one, to occupy your opponent's other side of the board. You have to play slowly in chess. You see, you have to find these squares. It's not always possible to create, well, this common checkmate threats, the common tactical ideas with some forks and stuff like that. Well, chess is played simply like this. You have to occupy your opponent's half of the board, play slowly, then maybe you can occupy his 6th rank, then after that maybe you can move forward slowly again, occupy his 7th rank, and try to grab a pawn or something, because most of the games are won simply by winning a pawn. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Of course, meanwhile, you can watch my other middle game strategies and my basics in chess videos, and of course you can also watch my chess tactics if you want to have a very nice knowledge about some common chess tactics. And of course, guys, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching, and chess is the best, of course.